So we're talking about a player who is in Africa. He's an African, I should say, who is in the Premier League, who have extended his contract. And we're asking an important question. Can Salah become the Premier League's greatest of all time winger with 2 more years? It's pretty simple, isn't it? But I cannot answer. I'd have to leave it for my guys. They have answers. Kwame?
Yes, Abeku. Salah is just 29 goals short of catching the number 2. I think the number 1 is a long shot. Alan Shearer.
Yeah. I think
that's around.
He needs 80 more goals.
80
more, about 80 more goals.
to catch Alan Shearer.
Yeah.
So that's a long shot.
I think maybe if he has 3 years, he can.
I like how you put it. That's a long shot.
It's a long shot. Yeah. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's a long shot. You never know. Maybe he might still be top form.
Maybe he might extend another.
Exactly.
Contract.
So top form. So maybe score some
20
goals.
I say 80 more goals.
So maybe score some 20 goals this next season. Another 20 goals.
He's done 27 in the Premier League this season.
Of course. So maybe 20 goals next season. Another 20 goals. That's 40, right? Then he's still in form. Add more 2 more years. Then another 20, another 20 before you realize. But it's a long shot. But Salah has really, in 8 seasons, he's really justified himself. He scored a minimum of 18 goals in the 8 years that he's been in the Premier League.
That is brilliant.
I mean, and he scored about plus 20 goals in about 5 out of the 8 seasons. And
he's averaging over 20.
Over 20.
In 8 years, he has 184 goals.
184 goals. So that's 20 goals every season on the average. Now, he's now on number 5 on the list, and he's on the same level of goals with Aguero. All the players ahead of him are not in the league anymore. Some are, about 3 of them are retired.
He's a top-scoring foreigner.
Exactly, top-scoring foreigner in there. So everything on the assists chart, he's number 10 on it as well. Salah has been all sort of brilliant for them. Pep Guardiola has cock-blocked him a lot more times to the the Premiership title. It's just about winning. He's just on the verge of winning the 2nd title in the Premier League. But this is an individual award we are talking about because Alan Shearer never won it. But he's regarded as the top or one of the best strikers or the top striker in the league.
The team you play, plays a part in that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So to call him one of the greatest, or what's the question again? The greatest winger.
Yeah.
It's something that he's inching closer to. I mean, you look at the players on the list. All of them are strikers. Aguero, who else? Rooney.
Okay, people who are below him, or people.
These are strikers. These are strikers. Okay. But if you talk of a winger, there's absolutely nobody. I mean, he's played on the left or the right wing throughout the time that he's been in the league. There's absolutely no winger that matches that or what Salah has done in the league. I'm not sure there will be anyone at the moment. Maybe time to come, but what he's done in the league, incredible. Incredible.
Could you repeat the question?
See, can Salah become the Premier League's greatest of all time winger with 2 more years?
I disagree with the question because he already is. So that's my answer.
Because after doing that, I'm like, who is there? There is absolutely
no one in this question because you look at titles.
So let me answer. You say I'm not debating, but you want to debate. Look,
that's fair.
For me, I think there is no player in the Premier League I can think of who was one of the best players in the league for 8 seasons straight.
Yes.
We've had a lot of very good players, but he's the only player I can think of for 8 seasons straight. You can say this guy is a top 3 player in the league, 8 seasons straight. I think the only person who might come even nearing that is Kevin De Bruyne. Yeah. And even him, I would say it's more like 6 because he had some seasons he was injured and that kind of stuff. But Salah, 8 seasons straight. Yeah. I know a lot of people say Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo was one of the best players in the league for 3 seasons.
True.
In those 3 seasons, there's probably never been a better player in Premier League history for those 3 seasons, granted. But it was 3 years. Yeah. We had Thierry Henry. Maybe Henry might be the only other player in that conversation for 8 seasons where you can say this guy was one of the best players in the league. So for me, that alone is something important. I don't think we've seen a player this consistently good relative to the league.
The level of consistency is
not to say that he was the best player for all 8 years. I don't think that's true. But I don't think there's a season where you can go through his Premier League time and say, okay, there were 2-3 players better than him. Like, it's very difficult to find a season like that. And for me, that is very impressive. And for me, that's why I'll say he's the best. Because when you look at some of the records he has, like you said, he's the top scoring foreigner in the league. So that should, and this is important because the other people ahead of him, they played their whole careers basically in the league. Maybe they went to the MLS at the end or something like that. He came in at 25. And so he was, by that time, some of those guys had played 200, 300 Premier League games.
Yeah.
He came in at 25, has shot up the scoring charts. Like I said, he's top 10 in assists. He's the most games with scoring and assisting in a single game. The records just speak for themselves. And like Kwame rightly said, for the titles thing, I think he's been unfortunate to have to deal with the greatest manager of all
He's
time.
won the Premier League, he won the Champions, he won the FA Cup, he won the League Cup.
And that's why I said
won
he's been unfortunate to deal with Pep Guardiola because he's met the only manager who's managed to win 4 in a row. You see, he has come at the same time as the most dominant manager in English football history. With all respect to Sir Alex Ferguson, Ferguson never won it 4 times in a row. Yeah. Ferguson won it if you look at his record in England, he won it every other year. Pep has won it, 5 or out of his 8 years in the Premier League or something like that, or 9. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. It's more than every other year for Pep. So for me, I think Salah's team accolades, he's a victim of circumstance. But when you look at him individually, his performance level, devoid of like the other things, just look at the numbers, the fact that he's leading their team, they get some of the most incredible point totals, some of the seasons Liverpool has had, it's all because of Mohamed Salah. And for me, I think there's no winger who has, because when you look at you combine the longevity, the high level he's been at, the consistency, I don't think anyone has a case for being better than Mohamed Salah in Premier League history. And I'll stand by that statement because I understand people want to talk about Giggs and how long he was there, because Giggs has the longevity. But let me even give you an example. Giggs' assist record, for example, Giggs averaged 8 assists a season. And he played for 20 years. So it looks like, okay, you will never get more assists than Giggs. But if you were to talk about 8 assists a season, it's not a lot. And I think Salah has comparable assist numbers, if not more. Not to say that that's the only measure. I'm just giving an example of sometimes some of these records are difficult to break. Alan Shearer played his whole career in the Premier League, basically. And even played some Premier League seasons when they used to play, there were more teams, 22, 24 teams. So had some 40-game seasons. So he has seasons he scored 34 and that kind of stuff. But even towards the end, we saw some of that consistency diminish because he had some knee injuries. Not his fault, of course, but the goals diminished. Someone like Mike Owen started very hot, knee injuries, lost some of his pace, those type of things. But when I talk about that 8 years that Salah has had, especially for a winger, kind of dominating, because I think this has been a league that has been traditionally dominated by central midfielders and strikers in that sense. I think for a winger, I think he and Ronaldo, and I'll add Eden Hazard to that to a certain 100%. Extent. Those guys are the 3 wingers who, in terms of level of performance, where guys, when you look at them, like, these guys are the best players.
I mean, you want to add Nani to that?
Oh, please, don't do that. Don't do that.
Just asking questions.
Don't do that. So I'm a big believer in Mohamed Salah. I think he's very underrated because of his lack of team success. And I think that it's a fair argument, but I also want to give him the grace that, look, Man City was there, but for me, when it comes to wingers, Salah is number 1. I think you can argue between Giggs and Ronaldo for number 2. I don't mind who you pick, but Salah is my number 1 for sure.
Well, he has scored 243 goals and assisted 109 times in the Liverpool shirts in about 394 appearances.